cultures. The Hawaiians had the same thing. They had 3 levels of consciousness, and Jung talked about his archetypes, and he borrowed those concepts from indigenous cultures. But this Chicana symbol represents like just innumerable numbers of different meanings, depending upon which ones and which interpretation you're looking at. And the other neat thing about it is you see the line that's going through at a diagonal, and at the top it'll say Ruta Viracocha. Well, what that is there are all these theories and stories about this tunnel system that runs underneath Peru. Here it is.
I just want to break in here. Does this not look a little bit like the mandala at Nazca, Nelson?
Yeah. Oh, actually.
I'd have to look at it again, but...
Yeah, I'll get that picture up again.
Because I'm pretty sure it almost looks the same. Which is that picture we were talking about before we got on air, and the huge mandala on the Nazca lines, if that's the same thing.
Yeah, well this symbol is at least 3,000, maybe 5,000 years old, but again, it's the reason why I put it up is that people are told it's the Inca cross, and so they think the Inca invented it, but what the Inca were great at was either borrowing or inheriting from other cultures. And so the cool thing about the line that you see stretching from the southeast to the northwest is that on that line is where a lot of the most sacred sites are. You see Tiwanaku's there, this place called Pucara is there, Cusco's there, Machu Picchu's there, and Cajamarca's there. And it's also in the oral traditions. It says that this great teacher from ancient times came, who was called Viracocha, actually it's Viracochan. He taught the people the arts of civilization, and then he disappeared into the ocean, or he disappeared on a boat and sailed. And so this is supposedly his path. By the time he got to the ocean, he got on board some kind of ship and disappeared off into the horizon somewhere.
Go on, next slide.
Yeah. Should be popping up any second now.
Yeah, I just gotta get used to the delay. Hope we don't have any more tech difficulties. Yeah, I pulled up that picture and it's quite close anyway.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is at Ollantaytambo, where you want to go. And Ollantaytambo gets about 10% of probably 20% of the visitors that Machu Picchu gets, but the train actually leaves from about an eighth of a mile from where this photograph is taken. And I think Ollantaytambo is at least as interesting, if not more interesting, than Machu Picchu. This wall is probably what's left of the Sun Temple, and the color's terrible, but it is pink granite, which of course is a material that you find a lot of in pre-dynastic Egypt. They built a lot of stuff out of pink granite, supposedly because of the high crystal content, because they were using it for some kind of
residation. Yeah. It always comes back to residation. I've noticed that lately. Even I don't know if you looked into anything about Ed Leigh Scanlon's work.
Yeah. Because coral contains a lot of quartz, which is crystal, so it can resonate very well.
Right. It always comes back to frequency and resonation.
Cymatics, man, get it. A lot of work on that. Explain. A lot more research has to be done, but they've done stuff like that. They've done lots of things. But what's weird about this particular wall is those are like where them lines are stones.
Yeah.
That's not carved into the wall. That's separate. And apparently it's earthquake proof if you build them that way.
Yeah, that's the thing is that these, I think they average about 40 tons, these things, and they were brought up several hundred feet. And the lines in between, they're actually a series of shims that go vertically. And so the theory is that when there'd be an earthquake, the shims could move freely up and down, absorbing the shock, keeping the wall from moving, because the wall was set to such precision for alignment to the sun and other things that it wasn't allowed to move.
Correct.
And this is me with the Ancient Aliens crew, still at Ointetambo, and this is another, cut-out stone feature that most people don't even see. But again, this has got like a lot of really big knobs sticking out of it.
Yeah, I see that. I was just looking.
And the main theory behind this one again is that it acted like a solar calendar. Where my hand is, there's a notch, and so at noon on the summer and winter solstice, the sun would be straight overhead and would shoot a shadow right down and would fit right inside that notch. Telling them that that was the day. But I bet it's more complicated than that. It's a lot of work just to make a
calendar. Yeah.
To tell you when the solstice is.
A sundial.
Yeah, it's a pretty fancy sundial.
Now, I noticed in your videos, too, another thing, when lifting this rock, even you in your videos, when you're talking, you can tell the air is thin. You're up high. It's hard to catch your breath sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, it's, Cusco's about 12,500 feet, and Lake Titicaca is about 13,500. So, it's over 2 miles, and you go from Lima, which is at sea level, to Cusco in an hour. So your body suddenly goes 2 miles in the air, and everybody is affected by it.
You're right, but it's a testament to how hard it would be to raise and quarry all this rock that high in the mountains, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
That's the exertion put on your body plus the thin air, and wow. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And the stone for that, the stone for the big wall, that was from across the river, miles down the river, the side of a mountain. So again, it's an obvious sign of, like what you were saying about resonance. They selected stone specifically for its, for what it was composed of, not just because it was kicking around, something kicking around. They had to choose it. Like supposedly some of the stone in Egypt from Aswan was moved 500 miles because they wanted the properties in the stone
over mountain ranges.
Oh yeah, it's just amazing. So this is actually when you go, you'll love Ointetambo, and if you get a chance, I'd love to be your guide. But this is still at Ointetambo, but this is the mountain on the other side. And this picture is, I like to show this picture first because on the right-hand side you'll see this huge building that's built more than 1,000 feet up from the valley. On the very left-hand side, there's a temple, again, and then in the center, you can't see from this picture, but hopefully the next one will show you what that thing is.
Yeah, that looks out of place, that's for sure.
It's a 400-foot tall head.
Oh, I can see that. Oh, yeah. I can totally see it.
And the neat thing is, if you're into, ancient alien stuff or whatever, the more I look at it, the more it looks, kind of reptilian, because you can see where the eye is, but in the eye, the eye pupil is it's a vertical slit, just like a cat or a reptile has, and in the mouth it's got one fang. And most people think it's natural, but I don't think so.
We'll get the post for that.
It should be up now.
It ain't up for me.
Yeah, not yet.
No, I didn't do that thing again, did it? Right at a good part.
And it's like doing it at like every 5th picture.
But there have been found that ancient cultures around the world were known for doing that sort of Rushmore-esque, part of the mountain sculpture. House Donna features the woman in West Africa, like a full, almost shape of, like, you can totally tell, once it gets pointed out to you, you can totally see it. Like from waist up, of a woman and a face and hair and everything.
Yeah, I saw that. That's quite incredible.
And it's crazy high on the mountain, too. It's like 300 feet up a solid rock face, and then the sculpture starts. There, we got the close-up.
Okay, well the neat thing about this one is the bottom of it, the actual bottom of the face is 1,000 feet above the valley floor. So most of the tour guides say, well, you know, the local people did this, and it's like, really? They had, you know, ladders that were 1,000 feet tall? Because it's a vertical face. But here you can see the fang that's in the mouth, and then you can, at least to my mind, you can see the vertical slit in the eye. And what a lot of people say is that his chin is a beard, because this is supposed to, again, be Viracocha, but, you know, the creator is represented.
He even got sideburns.
Yeah, he does. And some people think that either his nose fell off or there wasn't a nose. It's hard to tell, but once you see this thing, you can't ever look at it again.
The no-nose gives it that reptilian aspect, though.
Yeah. And this is along the same kind of theme. This of course is Machu Picchu, and the big mountain in behind is called Huayna Picchu. And if you talk to old people in the area, they say that is the shape of a human head looking upwards. And so this is actually from National Geographic. They did a story on it, and that kind of shows you the outline. It's not the right angle. If you get the right angle and the right time of year, it looks a lot more like a face than this does.
That seems a little bearded to me, too.
And also, again, a reoccurring theme, you have, like, all sorts of mountain man myths, like Sleeping Man Mountain and stuff like that, right?
Giant of the Hill or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's a lot of that in Polynesia. But that's...
Yeah, Machu Picchu itself is just a majestic sight, especially. I've never seen that angle before.
Okay, yeah, this is at Machu Picchu too, and this is the Temple of the Sun there. And the thing is, you know, again, this gets into the whole idea that Machu Picchu, you know, they tell you that this one Inca decided to have it built in the 14th century, and it, you know, took like 50,000 people, and they built it. But what this shows you is that Machu Picchu itself also was built over different periods of time. This building is technically, you know, beautiful in terms of the stones being very close to each other, and they're, you know, the whole thing is the big theory is that there were three different civilizations. There was one called the Hanan Pacha, the second called the Uran Pacha, and the third one were the Inca. And the Hanan Pacha were the first ones. And what they did is they sculpted monoliths straight out of bedrock. And so inside this round building, you see the bedrock there, and that has been shaped. And so the idea is that a later culture came and they saw that whoever these master builders were, you know, did something that was amazing. So they built this protective wall around it, and then the Inca would build, you know, they wouldn't touch it, they would build into that as well. So 90% of Machu Picchu looks like it was built by the Inca, but the really special places like this, and also the hitching post of the sun, they're, you know, at least 10,000 years old. They're much older than Inca construction.
And again, you know, a lot of cultures did that as well, built over, you know, ancient sites that they considered to be from their ancestors, and there's just so many reoccurrences globally, and that's another thing we were talking about before the show, how it seemed a lot of this, and the timeline of the 12,000 years, and, you know, a lot of this just leads to a global sort of thing going on that we're not really privy to the information of.
Yeah, but all the information is starting to leak out, which is great. You know, I love it. So this is the approach to the hitching, you know, the famous hitching post of the sun. It's the most famous thing. And what most people don't understand about that, you know, it's right in the center of the picture. Most people are told this is a single piece of stone, but what they're not told is that it's actually the top of the mountain. For some reason, it was important that was made from the top of the peak itself. It had to be, you know, anchored as the mountain itself. And it's, you know, it's like just a masterpiece of